Just 1 year to live? What? What? Me?
Yes, I recommend starting treatment immediately.
You're kidding me! This was completely unexpected. My life had been smooth sailing with no health issues, and now a major obstacle had appeared. My relationship with my husband was rocky, and he had betrayed me time and again. Emotional stress was taking its toll, and tears began to flow uncontrollably. Was I going to face the end alone, without even the comfort of my husband beside me? Then, 6 months after accepting this harsh reality, a glimmer of hope appeared in my life of despair. My name is Sarah. I'm 28 years old. I'm a designer at an advertising agency and also juggle household chores as a working wife. I've been married to David for 2 years. He was a colleague from work, and we found out we had the same hobbies and began to communicate privately. After dating for a year, he proposed. I had always dreamed of building a family, so I happily accepted David's offer. I want to be your wife, David. I want to be with you forever.
Me too, Sarah. Let's make sure we find happiness together.
Absolutely. And so, with vows of love, we registered our marriage. But just 2 years in, our marital relationship is far from great. It all started about 6 months ago, when my sister suddenly visited our home. My sister Betty has always been the type who needs to be the center of attention. Since childhood, she was adored by our parents and relatives, which led her to become quite self-centered. This attitude continued into her middle school and high school years, where she'd throw tantrums and lash out whenever things didn't go her way. She's had a wild love life and has even had 2 abortions. Our parents couldn't stand it anymore, and together we had warned her. Listen, Betty, if you keep living like this, you're going to mess up big time. When I warned her like that, she scoffed back at me. Seriously? Annoying much? Are you trying to act like my big sister or something? I'm just worried about you, Betty. If something happens to you, it could be too late to do anything. Wow, hilarious. Really? Can you just stop? You're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. She laughingly said cruel words as if they were nothing. This was too much even for our parents, who each spoke up.
Hey, Betty, what kind of attitude is that?
Exactly. Sarah really cares about you. What? I didn't ask for anyone's concern.
Betty, how can you say that?
If something happens to you, it'll be too late. Please, just take better care of yourself. Enough. It's my life. I don't need your directions, so shut up.
How dare you speak to your parents like that?
That's awful. Why would you say something like that? The argument continued, and Betty eventually stormed out of the house. She probably hopped from one guy's place to another. I never saw her again until after I had moved out and married David. Our reunion took place in the apartment where David and I lived. She showed up unannounced about a year after we got married. It's been a while, big sis. Betty, why are you here? Just let me in. It's raining outside. No way, David is here. What? I have nowhere else to go. Just let me stay for a bit. She forced her way in and made herself comfortable in the living room. David came out of the bathroom and was startled.
Who's this?
Sorry, David, this is Betty, my sister.
Your sister? The one who left home?
She showed up saying she has nowhere to go. Can we let her stay just for tonight?
Why just one night? She can stay as long as she needs to. It's cold out there, you know.
At that moment, I realized it. David was blushing and looking at Betty. As if in response, Betty also looked at him with a big smile. She grinned right back at him as if I didn't even exist. For the next month, Betty lived with us. She ate our food and used our stuff as if it was hers. She started asking me for money since she's jobless. When I refused, she went to David. Hey, David, can I borrow some money?
Here you go. Consider it your allowance.
Really? you sure?
Well, you're kinda like my sister too. Feel free to ask if you need anything.
Thank you. I love you, David. Right in front of me, Betty hugged David. She glanced at me with a smirk, as if she had won. I couldn't take it anymore. I rented a monthly apartment and essentially kicked Betty out. David blamed me, and Betty called me all kinds of names, but I couldn't care less. If I didn't do something, the worst could happen. I had to act before it was too late. My intuition was sounding an alarm. Deep down, I knew I had made the right choice. Although I managed to kick my sister out, my relationship with my husband worsened. Recently, we barely spoke to each other, and we had almost no quality time as a couple. Is this strained married life going to continue? That's when an unthinkable, cruel twist hit me. 1 year to live? Are you saying I only have a year?
Yes, I recommend starting treatment immediately.
You're kidding!
There are treatment options. It's best to consult with your family as soon as possible.
Okay. I went to the hospital because I was feeling off lately, and that's when they found advanced cancer. They said if I don't get treatment now, I have only a year to live. This can be real, right? I've always been healthy. How could this happen to me? I immediately called my husband to share this news. After multiple calls, he answered, clearly annoyed.
What is it?
Hey, you're done with work, right? We need to talk. Can you come home?
Nah, I can't. Working late today.
Again? Please, it's really important.
Quit nagging. I told you I can't. What's so important?
I've been diagnosed with cancer. They said I only have a year to live.
What? Only a year?
At this point, his tone changed, almost as if he was shocked by the 1 year part. Was he worried? That thought disappeared in an instant. He burst into laughter and said something unbelievable.
Come on, you're joking, right? How unlucky can you be to get a 1 year diagnosis?
What? David, why are you laughing? Do you know how I feel right now?
Well, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? Diagnosed with cancer before you're even 30. Must have done something bad in your past life.
What? Who am I talking to? Is this the man I fell in love with? The David who always told me he loved me. It felt like I was talking to a stranger. Someone entirely different from the man I once knew. Worse, he seemed to find humor in my life-threatening situation. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was a call from my sister Betty. Hello, I said wearily. Hey sis, I heard you've got cancer and only got a year to live? What? How do you know about this? Why? I was just eavesdropping while you were on the phone with David. Why? I was listening right next to David when he talked to you on the phone, you know? What? Why are you with David? Deep down, I already knew the answer. But I couldn't bear to accept that my sister had taken my husband. Reality was far more brutal than I could have imagined. Did you not realize it, sis? I've been dating David ever since you kicked me out of the house. Since then? Really? Actually, even when we were living together, we've been together in the bedroom when you were not home. Stop it! That's too much! How could you? This is hilarious. I've always wanted to get back at you. I was super annoyed when you and our parents lectured me. And you think that justifies this? Hey, it's not my fault, okay? If someone cheats, it's the fault of the one who gets cheated on. Same goes for getting sick. I hung up the phone immediately, my breaths growing heavy. I couldn't continue talking to her. I would lose it. I quickly opened my husband's laptop to look for evidence of his affair. And there it was. Conversation and pictures with my sister, without even the slightest effort to hide it.
Let's get married soon. We'll manage the divorce.
They planned, as if I was just an obstacle. And that was the moment. The love I had been desperately clinging to toward my husband vanished. What had I been so afraid of? There's no happiness in living with a man who would so easily trample on someone's feelings. My priority now isn't dealing with them. I need to focus on my treatment. Revenge can come later. However, since we found evidence of cheating, there is no reason not to divorce. I transferred evidence from my husband's computer to my phone and visited a law firm the next day. I initiated divorce proceedings and a compensation claim and started treatments in the hospital. When I brought up the divorce, my husband coldly responded,
Divorce? Perfect. I've wanted to split up anyway.
"To marry my sister Betty?"
Of course. Plus a wife with a terminal illness has no value. A shame. I can cash in on the insurance, but oh well.
Unbelievable. So this is what you thought of me. Choosing divorce was the right call. So I finalized the divorce, claiming compensation from both my husband and my sister. David paid Betty's share and our relationship ended. For the next year after the divorce, I focused on my treatment and underwent surgery when the tumor shrank. Thankfully, it was successfully removed, and while not entirely cured, I had recovered enough to return to my old life. If the cancer doesn't recur for 5 years, the survival rate dramatically increases. That day, I went to the hospital for my regular checkup.
Is that you, Sarah?
A voice called out from behind me. I turned around to find David, my ex-husband, standing there. "Long time no see. What brings you here?"
I've been trying to reach you. Why aren't you answering my calls?
"Why would I? I deleted your contact a long time ago."
Well, never mind that. You don't have much time left, right?
"What are you talking about?"
Your time's running out, Sarah. My new wife Betty is sick too. I need you to be a donor for her.
I was stunned. What on earth was he talking about? Why would I have to be Betty's donor? Why should I give up my life for you two after I've finally gotten my life back on track? I was boiling inside, my body shaking, but I tried to keep my composure. "Is it true that Betty is sick?"
Yes, she's been diagnosed as terminally ill. They won't tell us much, but there's something wrong with her organs. It's some kind of tumor.
A tumor?
Yes, it's like a hard lump. She needs a donor because of the problem with her organs. A random donor could cause rejection, so you're the best candidate.
Why should it be me?
Are you kidding? You don't have much time left, Sarah. I've even compensated you, so at least do something useful for us.
He looked distressed, his voice raised in anger. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. "You really have no idea, do you?"
What are you talking about?
"My cancer is almost completely cured."
He looked stunned.
Of course he would be. When we divorced, I was given only 1 year to live. I'm planning to live my life from now on. I'm not in a condition to become anyone's donor.
Wait, Betty is your sister and she's dying. Are you saying you won't do anything?
Why should I sacrifice my body for the two people who betrayed me?
What?
He glared at me, as if ready to grab me any second. I thought it was the right moment to drop a bombshell. Since you seem clueless, let me tell you. Betty's current situation is entirely due to her past actions.
What are you talking about? What did Betty do?
You really have no idea. She's been involved with dozens of men and has had multiple abortions because of it. That's why she got sick and had to go to the hospital multiple times.
Wait, are you talking about STDs?
I took her to the hospital back then, but I assume you ignored her health issues afterward. That's probably why she's in this situation now. So, unfortunate for you both.
Betty was that kind of lowlife? Really?
You might see her as your cute sister-in-law and the woman you remarried, but she's always been that way. I bet she's still seeing other men behind your back. He visibly broke down, grabbing his head and collapsing on the spot. In a quiet voice, he muttered,
Help me.
I showed no mercy. Help me? You have the nerve to ask that of me? Have you forgotten what you've done? You cheated on me, betrayed me, and abandoned your wife after her terminal diagnosis. Do you understand how cruel that is?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me.
Forgive you? No way. Both you and Betty are responsible for your actions. You both look down on people and only care about your own desires. That's why this is happening. I won't help either of you. Serves you right. I turned away from his tearful face and left the hospital. Finally, I had my revenge. Later, I heard Betty lost all sensation in her limbs and now was bedridden, unable to move freely. Failing to find a doctor, she's going through cycles of hospital stays and the prognosis is grim. David had to switch to part-time work to take care of Betty, and recently, his unexcused absences have been piling up. He's losing face at work, and I hear his job is on the line. Having paid me the settlement, he's broke and working multiple part-time jobs at night. He's also falling apart. Karma's a bitch. He got what he deserved. As for me, I recently returned to the job I had taken leave from for my treatment. I now rent a slightly upscale apartment near work and enjoy a good life. When I was diagnosed as terminally ill and discovered the affair, I had given up on life completely. But facing those challenges head-on has shaped who I am today. I'll continue to believe in myself and strive earnestly for a better life.